Today's show is all about Detroit Lions news and rumors, and we're going to be talking about the potential odds percentage of what positional group the Detroit Lions will select at the 28th pick, at least what the media thinks. We're going to get into a best fit scenario for players coming to Detroit. We'll look at that list there. We're going to do mock draft roundup and a 3-round mock draft. We'll go over that mock draft, review it, give our thoughts, and a defender who we may not miss. But before we get into today's video, question for you: should the Detroit Lions trade up in the draft? Put U. Stay put, put S. Trade down, put D in the comments below. Let's go ahead and talk about the Detroit Lions in their draft. We're all talking about the big pick that's going to happen at the 28th pick, their first round pick this year. Now, a lot of ways the Lions can go. They can go offense, they can go defense, but we want to get defense. Well, article came out given the odds, and this was on SI.com, for what positional group the Detroit Lions will attack with the 28th pick, and here's the odds right here. Now, when it comes to the defensive line, they got a 50% chance. They believe that defensive line right now is the best option for the Lions at the 28th pick. Offensive line comes at number 2 at 23%. They believe the fit is pretty good there. Wide receiver goes all the way down to 7%, sitting at the third positional group. And then 4 for safety, linebacker, tight end, cornerback, and 2% at quarterback. These odds seem realistic, just going through it right now, right? You're looking at it for sure. It's defensive line, offensive line, and then it's everybody else. That's exactly what it is. When I look at the odds here, I'm going to give you my odds. My odds, not what the media thinks, is 50% defensive line and 50% offensive line. I think that's just the two positional groups that they're going to be looking at with the 28th pick. Why is that? There's many reasons why. First off, they've talked about the need for defensive line and offensive line. We look at the depth. We need depth there. You've seen Zeitler leave for the offensive line, Za'Darius Smith, who obviously we had a lot of issues with the defensive line and injuries. So that makes the most sense. The Lions are pretty good depth at wide receiver, safety, linebacker, tight end, quarterback. So that's why I don't see them doing this. And there's a lot of quality players that are with the offensive line and defensive line in this year's draft. And there's going to be plenty of great players at the 28th pick with one of those positions. That's why I think the Lions go that route. But they may trade. Do you want them to trade? Put U. Do you want them to stay put? Put S. Do you want them to trade down? Put D in the comments below. Now, an article came out about the odds of what players the Detroit Lions could select with the 28th pick if they sit there. Here are the 3 names. They got the names coming out here. They got Nick Scorton, edge from Texas A&M. We've talked about him. I think legitimately, if the Lions stay at 28, he 100% could be available, and he 100% could be a Detroit Lion. He fits exactly with the Lions need. Same with James Pierce. Now, I think it's a little bit less likely. First, I think James Pierce could be taken before Detroit at 28. But if he does fall there, he's 100% in the conversation. And they got Donovan Jackson, offensive line out of Ohio State, the big-bodied lineman. And they've talked about the Lions building up the offensive line. Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell has. I think you put Donovan Jackson there, you can put Booker, and you can put Zabel too as well, is in that mix. But yes, I think all 3 players are potentially a selection if the Lions sit at 28. Sit at 28. We don't know exactly what they're going to do, but we think that's going to be the case. The show is sponsored by GameTime, the best app, the #1 app that I trust, and the app that I want you guys to get. It has so many great features, and it's specialized in last-minute deals and saves up to 60% when buying last-minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy shows, theater. It don't matter. They have Game Time picks. Last-minute tickets buying easier than ever and quickly highlighting the best seats in the stadium. And there's so many events going on right now, whether it's concerts, baseball, Tigers, hockey, NBA. There's a lot going on, and the best part about Game Time is that you could see the price of your ticket up front, and it's all the price right there. So you're not getting surprise hidden fees at checkout. They also have the lowest prices guaranteed, and if you find a ticket at cheaper or a different app or service with the exact same seat, same row, same everything, Game Time's going to credit you 110% of the difference. Go see the Tigers. Go see the Red Wings. Go see the Pistons. come on down to Detroit and watch some games. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime today. Download the GameTime app, create an account, create an email to save $20 off your very first purchase. Again, go to the redeem code section, plug in chat sports to get $20 off your first purchase. Terms that apply. Got to create an email to save that money. The link is going to be in the comment section and description of this video. So if you're buying tickets this year, make sure using GameTime. Plug in CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Download GameTime today. Last minute tickets and lowest prices guaranteed. Detroit Jock City dropped an article here talking about one player that will not be missed, Detroit Lions fans, for their departure. And I agree. And I think they really pointed the finger at this guy and gave him a lot of blame. I don't think that should be the case. He was thrown in a position 2 years ago where he shouldn't have been, and last year he was exactly where he should have been, and that is a number 5 cornerback. So if you go to this article here, it's talking about Kindle Vildor, that the Detroit Lions are not going to miss Kindle Vildor. And in the comments right now, you already know. Let us know what your thoughts about Kindle Vildor is here. But no, we're not going to miss Kindle Vildor, but I got to keep it a buck. We've torched him on here. You've torched him. But I've torched him for being a number 5. There was no more expectations than that, than this guy coming in and being a stud. So, I know we're not going to miss Vildor, and they talk about it in this article. But to be honest, I mean, I could look at other players and be way more upset that we're not going to miss them. You know, we can look at many different players that left and be like, you know what, we're not going to miss that guy, right? I can look at Ufutu Melifonwu and be like, I'm not missing his injury prone, right? So we could look at Vildor. He tried his best. He's just not a good cornerback, and so I'm not going to give him a lot of rip there, but of course the Lions fans are not going to be missing him. And I think the Lions fans are ready to go and get better in the secondary. We have DJ Reed. He's a solid player. Ernest Rakestraw's a backup. Meek Robertson, Terry Arnold. So I'm not going to get upset at Vildor, but yeah, we're not going to miss him. So let's get into a 3-round mock draft that was done by The Athletic. We're going to go with first, second, and third pick here. The first pick, we're going to go with the pick we're going to go with the selection that they have. And with the first pick, they have the Detroit Lions taking offensive lineman Kelvin Banks out of Texas. Now, 6'4", 320, we talked about Kelvin Banks. We've talked about many offensive linemen on here because that is a potential target that they could be doing with the 28th pick. Now, I don't actually think the Lions would go with Kelvin Banks. I have other offensive linemen I think that maybe they covet a little bit more. But the Lions do need help on the offensive line. And you could push him on the interior, and maybe down the road he can swing in if they're to go at the right tackle and then Panay to the left. So it can make sense for the Lions if they're thinking about the big haul with the 28th pick. Give me your thoughts on Kelvin Banks. With the 60th pick for this mock draft that was done by The Athletic, they have the Detroit Lions taking edge rusher out of Ohio State, JT Tuimoloau. He is the prototypical size. The Lions have met with him. So I could see a situation where this is absolutely possibility. The Lions, if they go offensive line with the first pick, most definitely they can go defensive line, edge, pass rush with the 60th pick to beef up that line. In the third round, this is going to be no shocker here. They're going with Josiah Stewart. The Lions have shown so much interest in Josiah Stewart that you're going to see a lot of mocks with him in round 3 or potentially a round 4. The Lions have met him at the NFL Combine. They have done a 30 visit, and they've done the over the internet Zoom visit for Josiah Stewart out of Michigan. Yes, we need pass rush, and he is going to be in that mix. He's a little bit smaller, 6'1", 245, but he can sack the quarterback, right? 22 solo tackles, 8.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. He's a person that the Lions could work with. The Lions can work with these guys. So when I look at that, give me your thoughts about this mock draft. Grade this mock draft A, B, C, D, or F. I'm going to give this one I'll give it a B grade. I think they may go in the different direction with the first pick, but I'm never going to get upset with trenches because trenches is how we need to build this team, and we're built through the trenches. It's just the team that we are. We need to get better and stronger on those lines. Let's do mock draft roundup again. Pride of Detroit threw it on there, telling you who they think they're going to get. Tyler Booker. You got Mike Brand, Reese from Pro Football Talk, Pat, and Connor. They're all going with Booker from Alabama. I've talked about him. He's a real possibility. Kelvin Banks, Nick Brodgat. We literally just did the mock draft from The Athletic. Dre Zabel, you're gotten from the Underdog Fantasy. Ryan Wilson. And my last mock draft that I did, I have the Lions taking Dre Zabel with the 28th pick. He is a target. Josh Conerly, guard, offensive tackle from CBS Sports. I've heard not much of his name towards Detroit, but maybe. Donovan Jackson, we literally spoke about him in this video here. Yahoo Sports, Connor Rogers, CBS Sports, a lot of them. Pete Prisco, these guys, they have the Lions going Donovan Jackson again, for sure. Kenneth Grant, nose tackle from Pro Football Network. They did a mock draft, I think it was it yesterday too. Derrick Harmon, the 3-tech from Oregon, the defensive lineman, was on there as well. Now, if they go him, you can expect that the Lions' defense would be a 3-4. Darius Alexander, I haven't heard anything on him, but that came from Brian Bosich from Draft Countdown. Mykel Williams, this would obviously be a trade-up situation here. Multiple individuals think the Lions could trade up and get him. Shemar Stewart, potentially another trade-up scenario. Mike Green, I think the odds significantly went down for him. Donovan Ezeiruaku, I think I spelt his name. He is definitely a pick, and you're seeing a lot of individuals go with him. That would be a staying at a 28. And same with Nick Scorton, Jeff Risdon, who I respect a lot, has him. You always keep an eye on Jeff Risdon, what he says. He's pretty good at his mock drafts and his personnel. James Pierce is in there with a ton. So the Lions is predominantly edge, offensive line, and that's what I think it's going to be. So in the comments, give me your thoughts on who you think the Lions will draft. With that said, folks, adios.